Mike and Tom are registered with Stewart Partners Global Advisory LLC.
Common Sense Finance with Mike Wiginton and Tom Farrell of HL Wiginton Capital Management, an independent investment and financial planning firm in downtown Jasper. Mike is a chartered financial analyst charter holder, and Tom is a certified financial planner professional. They are here to discuss and give their thoughts on current financial and economic matters. Now, with Common Sense Finance, here are Mike and Tom.
Welcome back to another edition of Common Sense Finance. This is Mike Wiginton. I'm Tom Farrell. Mike surprised me the other day using the term YOLO. Had no idea what it was, and I'm shocked that he did. But you only live once, I think is what that means. I know you're the expert on all these abbreviated
I thought you were
terms.
going to wear your Gucci mink coat in
No,
for this.
not today. No.
Okay.
So in our research and readings, we're coming across a little bit, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a trend, maybe not. I don't know, it may develop into one, but there is maybe the beginnings of a trend. You want to talk a little bit about what you've been reading?
I don't think that would be inaccurate to say that it's that it appears that there's a trend. Here's an article put out by that news source Bloomberg, and it reads, "Affluent Americans rush to retire in a new life is short mindset." And it's basically laying out with several interviews how there's this trend of folks, mostly American or affluent Americans, that are retiring years earlier than they anticipated retiring. And they're chronicling here, most of the folks are in their mid to late 50s, but there's even some as early as 42. And I know recently that you have had a couple of folks say something to you about our podcast and how we were anti-retirement.
Not me, not we, you mostly. Yeah, the word on the street is Mike is against people retiring, and I think, and I agree with them.
You agree with them?
No, I agree with them that the perception may be that you're against, but I know you're not against retirement per se. For most people, I think you just want to make sure everybody understands exactly what they're getting into before they take that step, and that they're financially and emotionally prepared. I think is.
Yeah, I mean that's.
But it comes across as he doesn't want anybody to retire.
Well, I mean, what do you do when all the information that you're faced with lines up on one side of the boat, and it's like, hey man, you're not telling the other side of the story. So oftentimes that can come across that way. But get a load of this. Here's my comments to this. So here's they interviewed this one guy, and he says that they have more than enough money socked away. This guy's 58, by the way. More than enough money socked away to carry them through retirement. Okay, that's good. I mean, really? I mean, how much is that? Because at 58, that's a if he lives to, and the affluent is a subset of the population. Keep in mind that life expectancy tables are averages. Okay, mm-hmm. So more often, the affluent are not going to be in those averages. They're going to be in their own subset, and they tend to have longer life expectancy. So that's a mid 30-year retirement.
Yeah.
That's probably longer than he's been working, possibly. Okay. Another lady, 58 years old, also stated that that she's going to have to take a smaller payout from her pension, but she's going to be in the green until 92. Now, folks on watching this may not know what that means. In the green, she's referring to her financial planning that shows them not running out of money and have plenty of money till they're 92.
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay, that's 34 years. 58 to 92 is 34 years. I say, you don't see any problems. No. Well, what's your asset allocation going to be like? Because you sure don't. I wonder what they're using for their bonds. Okay, because in my opinion, bond today and going forward, I mean, this, we're talking about in another podcast about regime changes. We've been in a 40-year cycle of low rates. That's over. Those bond yields, in my opinion, are going to be substantially different. So what's your asset allocation going to be like? What factor did you use for inflation? How many times have we looked on with our doing financial planning for a client, and we changed inflation by 0.5%, and it makes a big change if if they've got a 30-year retirement window,
yeah.
a big change to their probability of success.
Yeah, especially if there's not a lot of wiggle room in their plan. Some people have flexibility, a wiggle room where they can make adjustments. But if it's pretty tight, where they're right on the edge of their withdrawal rate and things like that, and a little adjustment in your rate of return or inflation, yeah, you're right, can make a big difference.
I just think, and if you're retiring at 50, okay, late 40s, because there were some of these folks that were in their 40s. So let's just say it's 50 years old. You're talking about a 40-plus year retirement.
Yep.
And you're going to forecast that with some certainty, okay? And I would tell you that once you're out of the workforce for a few years, especially in today's world with technology where it is, you're out of the workforce for a few years, okay, and you have to realize hey man, I might need to go back to work and work part-time. I hope you've got a good rake and a grass cutter, because your job skills, employment skills are going to be severely limited in my opinion.
Oh yeah, maybe not completely starting over, but you're definitely going to get knocked back a few notches. But McDonald's is raising their minimum wage, so.
Well, I just think that there's not enough attention paid to such a long retirement cycle. I personally think the traditional model with retiring at 65 is over too. These are my opinions. Doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree. Okay. And then I read where another person was saying, well, I know so many people that that worked, they retired, and within 1 year after they retired, they were dead, they passed on. And I'm like, I don't believe that you know a bunch of people like that, because that's just not that's not where the statistics are.
Right.
I think that's an emotional ploy where you're trying to, how did you put it, trying to justify to yourself this plan of action that you're going to take. So,
well, another thing I think you may be seeing right now, and a lot of this is driven by emotion, maybe the wealth effect, where they have a 401k or an IRA, whatever, and they've had a nice run up in their account value in the last year, and it makes them maybe feel like, hey, I've got a little bit more than what I actually do going for me. So,
well, that's a very real thing. They see the price of their home go up, and it makes them feel wealthy, and that it can they can make moves that they wouldn't otherwise take. Mm-hmm. And you say, well, how long lasting is that?
Right.
Okay.
Is it going to last 35 or 40 years? Probably not.
And what does your allocation to equities have to be over such a long retirement history or a retirement window? Mm-hmm. And when the stock market takes a big dip, as it's going to, because that's the way it behaves, that's the nature of the thing, then what happens to that wealth effect?
Right.
So
it changes your attitude.
Hey, listen, I just want folks to be well informed. I know they're reading, getting material from sites and magazines and outlets that claim to have some financial knowledge. I would probably refute a lot of those claims, regardless of what magazine you're reading. And I'm just saying, hey, you might want to think twice about that.
Yeah. So it's not that you don't want people to retire. I just want to make sure we're straight on that. So that's good to know. That's good to know.
Okay.
Anyway, with that, we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Woo! Yeah.